Hello guys, welcome to this lecture particle confined in one-dimensional box of infinite Bernoulli height. Here one-dimensional box means the particle is allowed only to move in one dimension. The remaining two dimensions are so small that particle can't move along those dimensions. Means the dimensions are in nanometer or in the angstrom. As in this case, the particle is allowed only to move in x direction. This shows the variation of potential energy with x. As x varies from 0 to L, the potential energy is 0, and when x is less than 0 or x is greater than equal to L, the potential energy is infinite. So we can write the potential energy as when x lies between 0 and L, means x is greater than 0 or less than L, the potential energy is 0, and otherwise the potential energy is infinite. For such type of problems, time independent Schrodinger equation is used. The time independent Schrodinger equation is minus h cross square over 2m del 2 psi plus v psi equal to E psi, where v is the potential energy, E is the total energy, and in this case the potential energy V equal inside the box potential energy V equal to 0, and for one dimension del square equal to del 2 over del x2. After putting these values in equation 1, it becomes minus h cross square over 2m del 2 psi over del x2 equal to E psi, or we can write it as del 2 psi over del x2 equal to minus 2m over h cross square E psi, or del 2 psi over del x2 plus 2me over h cross square psi equal to 0. This is equation number 2. We know that the wave vector k equal to 2 pi by lambda, and the de Broglie wavelength lambda equal to h upon p, and we can write it as p upon h upon 2 pi. H upon 2 pi is h cross, so it becomes p upon h cross, and we know that the momentum p equal to under root 2 me, where E is the kinetic energy. Here we are denoting total energy by capital E, but in this case potential energy is 0, so total energy equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. It means total energy is equal to kinetic energy. That's why we represent that kinetic energy by capital E, because the kinetic energy is equal to the total energy. So k equal to root 2 me upon h cross. If we square both sides, then k square becomes 2 me upon h cross square, 2 me upon h cross square from this equation 3rd and equation 2. Or we can say that when we put the value of 2 me upon h cross square in equation 2nd, then it becomes del 2 psi over del x2 plus k square psi equal to 0. The general solution of this differential equation is a sin kx plus b cos kx, where a and b are the arbitrary constants. To find the value of these arbitrary constants, we apply the boundary conditions. Boundary conditions means the conditions at boundary. In this problem there are two boundaries. At suppose this boundary is first and this is the second boundary, means at x equal to 0 first boundary, and at x equal to 0 potential energy is infinite, means the probability of finding the particle is 0 at x equal to 0, and probability means mod psi square d tau. So mod psi square d tau equal to 0, it means psi equal to 0. So the first boundary condition is at x equal to 0 the wave function psi equal to 0. Now we apply this first boundary condition, means at x equal to 0 psi equal to 0 to the equation 4. After substituting these values, it becomes 0 equal to a sine k into 0 plus b cos k into 0. Sine 0 equal to 0, so b equal to 0. Now we put the b equal to 0 in equation 4, then it becomes psi equal to a sine kx. To find the value of a, we apply the second boundary condition. And where is the secondary boundary? Second boundary at x equal to L, and at x equal to L potential energy is infinite, so the particle cannot penetrate this. It means the probability of finding the particle at x equal to L equal to 0, and the probability is mod psi square d tau. So mod psi square d tau equal to 0, it means psi equal to 0. So the second boundary condition is at x equal to L, psi equal to 0. Now we apply the second boundary condition to the equation number 5. Means at x equal to L, psi equal to 0. Here we put x equal to L and psi equal to 0. Then it becomes a sine kl equal to 0. It means either a equal to 0 or sine kl equal to 0. But a cannot be equal to 0, because if a becomes 0, then the wave function becomes 0. It means there is no particle, but we are solving the problem for a particle in a box. It means sine kl equal to 0. When sine kl equal to 0, kl equal to plus minus n pi and k equal to plus minus n pi by L. In equation 3, we have calculated the value of k square equal to 2me upon h cross square, while in equation 6 k equal to plus minus n pi by L. So we put the value of k from equation 6 to the equation 3rd. Then it becomes n square pi square upon L square equal to 2me upon h cross square. Now we calculate the value of E, which is total energy. So this is equal to n square pi square h cross square upon 2m L square. H cross means h upon 2 pi, so h cross square equal to h square upon 4 pi square. Pi square cancelled with pi square, so it becomes n square h square upon 8ml square. So the total energy E equal to n square h square upon 8ml square. It depends on the integer n, so we can write it as En. This is called the eigenvalue En. En equal to n square h square upon 8ml square. From this expression, we can calculate the value eigenvalue for different levels. For ground state, n equal to 1, so E1 equal to h square upon 8ml square. For the first excited state, n equal to 2, so E2 becomes 4h square upon 8ml square, which is the 4 times of E1. For the second excited state, n equal to 3, so E3 equal to 3 square h square upon 8ml square, and which is equal to 9 E1, and so on. As we found above that on applying the secondary boundary condition, we would not be able to determine the value of constant A. Therefore, we use the normalization condition. And what is normalization condition? That minus infinite to infinite psi star psi dx equal to 1. Dx here d tau is replaced by dx, because in this problem we are considering the one dimensional box, and for one dimensional d tau equal to dx. Psi star is the complex conjugate of function psi. Now we can break the limit minus infinite to minus infinite to 0, 0 to L, and L to infinite, because the potential energy is different from for x minus infinite to 0, 0 to L, and L to infinite. When x varies from minus infinite to 0, the potential energy is 0, means the probability of finding the particle is 0. It means psi equal to 0, so this term becomes 0. Similarly, when x varies from L to infinite, the potential energy is again infinite, so the probability of finding the particle is 0, means psi equal to 0, so this term is 0. So it becomes 0 to L mod psi square dx equal to 1, and we know that psi equal to a sin kx. After putting this value and integrating this, we find that a equal to root 2 by L. So the wave function, after putting the value of a in wave function, we get psi equal to root 2 by L sin kx, and we know that k equal to n pi by L, so it becomes root 2 by L sin n pi x by L. So psi depends upon n, so we can write it as sin n equal to root 2 by L sin n pi x by L. It is called eigenfunction. Now we plot the wave function and the probability density for different values of n. For n equal to 1, the wave function becomes root 2 by L sin pi x by L. So for x equal to 0, sin 0 equal to 0 means wave function is 0. For x equal to L, it becomes sin pi, so it is again 0. So the wave function, and the wave function is sinusoidal, so the wave function is like this. For n equal to 2, it becomes sin 2 pi x upon L. So when x equal to 0, wave function is 0. When x equal to L, it becomes sin 2 pi, wave function is again 0. And when x equal to L by 2, 2 cancelled with 2, so it becomes sin pi, which is also 0. So for n equal to 2, the shape of the wave function is like this. Similarly for n equal to 3, n equal to 4, and probability density is mod psi square, means the negative values, the square of negative values becomes positive. So these are the graphs of wave function and the probability density for n equal to 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay guys, thank you.